Tazim, thank you so much for having me. It's a very different setting. You're home. It's very comfortable. To be honest, it's one of the most relaxed I've been ever doing a podcast. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I was like, okay, how are we going to set this up?
Oh,
And it's working.
it's working very
It's
well.
easy.
It's working
And your
exceptionally well.
team is really great.
The good thing is your house as well is beautiful. So whatever you've done to it, props. Interior decoration, that's something we can even possibly talk about, maybe learn tips from you. But today, the reason I'm here is a few years back, there was a friend of mine who recommended me to you. In fact, I didn't know I had reached out. And it was about hypnotherapy. So maybe to kick things off, what is hypnotherapy?
So there's a lot of misperception on what hypnotherapy is or hypnosis. Let's say hypnosis. Because hypnosis, when you look at the theatrics on stage, how a group of people go on stage and the hypnotist
Yes.
then hypnotizes them and they can bark like dogs or
You get them to do stuff.
get them to do stuff, get them to walk like chickens, whatever it is. That is not hypnotherapy. The difference is hypnotherapy is used purely for healing purposes at the deepest level of the subconscious mind.
Okay.
And what does that mean? That means that when a hypnotherapist is working with a client, the hypnotherapist helps the client to go into their own psyche, into the deepest part of the subconscious mind, where core issues began, where events took place, where distortions happened, where there was, there were experiences that were not so good.
Right.
And then when you go there, we never change experiences. I can't tell you weren't born on a certain day or something
Right.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you go to the place where the initial core issue started, you acknowledge it, you heal the emotions around it. So the client does their own work. The hypnotherapist is there to lead them.
Okay. And if I could ask more on that, are you in is the person you're doing the therapy session with, are they in a state of trance? You ask them to close their eyes? Are they sort of just walking through it? How does that portion work? That's what.
So there's an induction.
Okay.
An induction system.
Right.
And there can be a whole range of inductions because there are the standard inductions and then there can be very creative inductions. I've created quite a few of my own.
Okay.
And as the client relaxes, you get into that state just before you fall asleep. And it's like, and then you don't know the next moment you're asleep and then you wake up, 8 hours later or whatever it is.
Really? So time just.
Yes, so it's like that really nice space. And then we go in, so the client is relaxed, they're not nervous. Hence the reason why I don't do hypnotherapy in the first 4 to 5 sessions.
Okay.
Because you have to build that bridge
that trust.
Of trust. And so they like there, and then they are open to going to where things started and do the work.
Okay, so from what I'm getting is you basically use the initial stages to understand what the pain points are, what's troubling them, what the core issues are, and then you use hypnosis to sort of now look in deeper, understand what maybe go back to their past, try and relive certain moments that actually make their character act a certain way or do certain traits, and then try and tie those up. Well, no, I wouldn't use fix because I know you don't like the word fix.
No, we don't fix.
You don't fix.
No, we don't fix. Fixing is not therapy. Fixing is a Band-Aid.
Yeah, we're not putting band-aids here.
No,
Yeah.
Band-Aids will open up and the wound shows up again. So that doesn't make sense. You see that? So when a client is ready, and I'm so fortunate because the clients who reach out to me are so ready that they're going to do whatever it is they can to dive in and heal themselves. Okay?
Guys, you know I love coffee a lot. I literally named my podcast the CoffeePump Podcast. So with a caffeinated podcast, you need a caffeinated partner. And I'm happy to say that Connect Coffee has come on board as the official sponsor on the Coffee Pump podcast. This is everything they have. My personal favorite is the Romeo blend. I first had this in 2016. Actually had my first business meeting at the Chiromo campus where we're shooting at today. They've shown us love. I'd like for you to show them some love as well. We'll link everything in the description of the video. Do check them out. Best coffee in Kenya, hands down.
I am the catalyst, I'm the mirror. I lead them into it because that's the work I do, right?
Right.
However, the client has to be ready to do the work. And so mostly clients will come to me and say, I have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, and this symptom. And I'm like, okay, these are symptoms.
And if the symptoms are like depression, are they like
Unhappy, anxiety, relationships not working, not feeling satisfied, careers not going right, don't like
she just
themselves.
described me?
Really?
Well, that's a different podcast.
Okay, we'll do another one. But this is,
Yeah.
now if we look at it, all the issues that are showing up as mental health imbalances. Now, first of all, when someone says mental health, already people kind of
Yeah,
pause.
it's sort of seen, especially within our context in Kenya, seen as taboo. I mean, I was recently watching Sopranos, and even Sopranos, Tony Soprano, the main character, goes for therapy, but no one else knows about it because at that stage, it's sort of seen as you're a man, you know, you should deal with your emotions, but also, what are you telling your therapist? There's like, why are you discussing all this stuff? This is something you have to bury inside. You have to work through it. You have to work through those emotions
Yeah.
and live. And old generations as well believe in that, right? Which again leads me to the point where I come from the doctrine of if someone says you're feeling very mellow, you have depression tendencies, you're just not happy with the way things are going, focus on rather than your mental health, physical health, because physical health is upstream. If you work out, it makes you feel mentally better, and that then changes your perception of life. That changes your perception of what you need to achieve, motivates you. But is that more of a temporary thing? If like deep down you still have those troubles, like does because the muscular doctrine is to work out, everything will be okay. Be a man about it. Go.
Be a man, and since you were 2 or 3 years old, you were told not to cry anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the way we condition the boy child, that do not cry. When you're small, you're a boy. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show feelings. So if we go into that whole patriarchal, colonized way of thinking, which is bury your feelings and man up. And so as we said that, you know, just as you finished speaking, I don't know if you realized, you actually closed your arms and like, okay, I got to protect myself. I don't know what's coming from these questions.
I
Okay.
didn't realize that, by
Yeah,
the way.
but this is the body's automatic response.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
You could just chill.
Just-
Yeah. So
okay.
it's an automatic response to the things that you said about how we have really suppressed the emotional. So rather than speak about mental health, let's talk about emotional health, because it's our emotional health that has been so distorted and so buggered up. There's no other way of putting it. And not only has it been buggered up in this life and this generation, it's been buggered up for so many generations that today, as we speak here and you guys are here, sorry, what's happened? We're carrying the weight of generations. And if we don't deal with that baggage, what are we doing? What have we been doing? We've been transferring that to the next generation, to the next generation.
Right.
So it came from your forefathers, mine as well. And now it's going to be transferred to the new child that's going to be born in 2 years. It has to stop somewhere. Apart from the fact that we're living in the densest times. If we look at Hindu, Vedic texts, we look at the Mayan, ways of working. I think if we went back to Egypt, because it's old, yeah, we'd realize that we don't know nothing,
Yes, that's true.
right? We don't know nothing for one thing. And secondly, all those scripts tell us that these are the dark, dense times. And even though they're dark and dense, each one of us has the responsibility of working through our own baggage to lighten this density.
Hmm.
So when we say therapy is taboo, it does not help anybody. Part of it is our African context and the conditioning on this continent as well,
Yeah.
because it's even more suppressed based on the colonization. Then you add the patriarchy, then you add religion, then you add racial configuration, and then you add all the other layers.
Yeah.
It's like, where do we start?
Right. That's quite heavy, we have a 95% masculine viewing. A lot of them are between the ages of 25 to 35. And a lot of these young men have confidence issues, right? Am I doing the right thing in my career? Relationships in this day and age, people are breaking up just left, right, and center. Am I doing the right thing? Am I enough to be loved? What do I bring to the table when there's something better out there? We're always comparing ourselves to the big and better things out there, right? That guy has a better car, that guy has a better thing. I want to be in this position. A lot of young men are lost. They're trying to find themselves. Do they find themselves in the gym? Do they find themselves in a clique of community? But even if they do, they still feel very lost. They're trying different things. There's a lot of sentiment towards that category that, just make a lot of money, grind hard, get as many women as you can. Life will fix itself. Money solves all the issues, right? And it's very prevalent, for the longest time. I mean, Andrew Tate, for example, if you're aware of him, he's a very male-dominated masculine figure. And to his credit, he has actually told people that, look, if you have a roof on your head, if you have food on the table, and you're feeling depressed about your work, first get in shape, get a six-pack, see how you feel, work out. Guaranteed feel much better. Depression is not something that is real. You can fix it by doing the physical work, building yourself up, getting a lot of money, being in the best physical shape. He does acknowledge that there's stuff like PTSD that is real, and there's a lot of stuff on the back end you have to fight. How do you sort of coach these guys? And I'm including myself in that bracket as well, because there's sometimes I feel very lost. We're doing a lot of things. We're not sure if what purpose are we doing this for? What's the end game? Is there hereafter? Is the efforts we're doing in today rewarded tomorrow? Do the maybe one relationship affected the way I treat the rest of the girls? There's a lot of that stuff. And we've been told that this YouTube videos, this masculine side of things, you just need to work hard, get money, get women, and you'll be okay.
Okay, there's about 5 different
There's
things
there's
there.
a lot
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
unpack.
There's a
There's a lot
lot.
to
Let me
unpack.
let me start with, does being physically active help?
Yes.
Definitely. It's healthy because we have the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional. Those are 4 quadrants
Yeah.
within which we exist, right? You can't work on one only or 2 only. So the world has now tilted to work on the physical and mental. And we've forgotten about the emotional and the spiritual. So relationships breaking down. So when we look at it from that point, let me finish answering that fully. The question it takes me to is, why do we exist? What are we doing here? That's the question. What are 8 billion people doing in these bodysuits, driving themselves nuts, running around like blue ass flies, and the word enough has no meaning. The more, and it's still not enough. All right. So and when you die, what happens? You can have how many millions and trillions and whatever.
It goes all the way.
You're dead. You ain't taking nada with you,
Yeah.
right? So I think we've got to go back to basics. Why do we exist? It's one lifetime. We come in this lifetime. We arrive. We have a set of experiences. We have the potential to work through that and possibly influence some of our crossroads in different ways. And then we'll die. So, in that process of between birth and death, what are we doing?
Mm.
And what is important? And what really matters? And what really matters is not if, for me, we have a soul, a spirit, a God particle, whatever you want to call it, this stuff, whatever it is, it's come here to embody this package and it's come here to learn stuff
Mm.
or experience stuff. And there must be a before and an after, whether the before is in another body, on another planet, or after is also in another body, in another
Another
planet.
planet,
We
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
We don't
we're
know.
not sure.
Nobody died and came back and told us,
That's a big unknown. Yes.
right? However, we do, it's important to put some. So, is there any meaning to life?
I'd like to think so, I'd like to think we're here doing something for a grander purpose.
How about we spin that and say, what about putting meaning into your life?
Hey. That's a
That would
good,
work
yeah.
better,
That,
right?
that's a really good one, yeah.
So rather than looking for the meaning outside, because everything is outside, go and make the money outside, go and look good outside, go and live in a big house, go and drive a big car, go and wear designer clothes. All of this stuff came about with capitalism post Second World War.
Yes.
Consumer,
Consumerism, yeah.
okay. And what was that? Advertising and marketing.
Madmen of, yeah, the 1960s.
And then they
Spinning
took us
everything.
out
Yeah.
from inside and put us out there, and that everything about our lives was measured by our external. What we've forgotten that it isn't about the external. Yes, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having money, making money, but if it sucks the life out of you, you need to find balance, right? People don't have balance. So why not drive a nice car? Live in a nice house. But if that sucks the blood out of you, what's the point? Live simple then. So for me, over the decades, I've keep simplifying my life, because you know what? I find that the most important thing for me is, one, to do my own work, and two, to make sure that my meditation is a non-neg. I do not negotiate on my meditation. So clients have to come after I've done my morning program and leave by a certain time so I can do my evening program.
Right.
So what am I doing? I'm feeding that spiritual aspect with that. I do some exercise. I walk. Okay, so I do the physical. I'm careful with my diet on the basis that I'm not dieting, but I'm careful with nutrition because I've had to learn.
Does it affect what you eat? Is how you feel? Is there something of that sort where?
See, there's a concept about everything.
Right.
There's a concept about your little finger and your little nail.
Yeah.
And so there are concepts. We've created so much duality and multiplicity that I'm not sure how much of it is real, how much it is.
Right.
It's all connected. It's all connected. I mean, before you feel a pain in your finger, it's already been transmitted, and we know all of that stuff, right? But we want to know so much. We want to have so much information. How much information do you need? How much information can you actually digest? So most people are so constipated in their minds, and then that makes them talk a lot of shit as well.
I guess in a way that's true because before, if there was even 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to know something, you genuinely had to go out and do research from a very specific source, get that information. Today, oh my God, there's just information overview. And so what happens is you get the procrastination tendencies where let me go through this doctrine first and then focus on this one and then focus on this one and then focus on this one and then absorb what's best for me. And then I focus on that. But by the time that goes by, months have passed, years have passed before you actually find your footing and actually taking that first step, right? I mean, that's something that's
I, I actually have a lot of empathy first for men. First for men,
that's refreshing
really,
to hear. Thank you.
really. And I'll tell you why men, because it's us women that have conditioned you guys as well.
How so?
It's your mother who brought you up more than your father.
Mhm.
Okay. So conditioning comes from us as well.
Yeah.
And the reason I have more empathy is because then you guys don't even give yourselves permission to feel. And until you guys give yourselves permission to feel, we will not have a balance. So let me take this to the masculine and feminine principle. So all human beings have yin and yang,
Yes.
50-50. Okay. For women, it's more magnified because they have a uterus, how we're built, we carry life. So it's more inherent and more noticeable, right? For men, you guys are not allowed from the time you're little. And then your mother either does too much for you or expects you to do
A lot
for
yourself,
yourself,
yeah.
right? So there's an imbalance in how we also parent.
Mm.
And so when one realizes that, look, I have both masculine and feminine, why am I not allowed to feel? Because I'm a man. Why? So my grandsons were over 2 days ago. 2 days or yesterday? In fact, it was yesterday. And what happened? I know something happened, and I asked them, I said, so one is nearly 12 and one is 9.
Mm.
And I said, so guys, do you still cry? I haven't seen them cry for a while since they were, because now they've got so much on their plates, huh?
Yeah.
At that age. So I said, yeah, we still cry. I said, so give me an example when you last cried. And so they were saying it to me, and I was like, well done. Don't ever forget that you are allowed to cry. And I used to tell them this since they were kids. Okay? This is not part of our psyche, it's not part of our conditioning. Now, the feminine principle not only has been suppressed in men, but it has been suppressed in girls because girls and women were told they had to be second class citizens, for
Yes.
one thing, except the violence, the abuse, the being treated like crap, all of that stuff, because that was their role. So they were also, you just have to clean, cook, pregnant, barefoot in the
Correct.
kitchen, that
Yeah.
concept, it's not valid. We're in the 21st century,
Not at all, yes.
right? So now we've got the males, the men that have their feminine principle really suppressed for generations and generations. You had to go and fight. I mean, since time began.
Yeah.
Go and get the food, man,
Correct.
right? Go hunt. The women had to reproduce and reproduce and reproduce.
Hmm.
So that's what happened. And in the process, when women came into the workforce,
I think especially around World War One and World War Two,
yeah,
when
what
most of the men,
happened?
yeah, most of the
They,
women were sort of brought into the workforce, and then by the time everyone came back, they had adapted to this new lifestyle, the independence, the earning, being the bread earner. So that then obviously set a trend towards where we are currently right now. And sort of, I agree with you in that notion. Is there's this fight for masculinity and femininity to be equal, but the truth is, each gender has their own strengths. What a woman can do, a
yes,
man can't, and what a man
yes.
can do, a woman can't, right? And why are we sort of forcing the goalposts on each side to sort of come together and say, no, everything is supposed to be like this? I think there's beauty in the fact that we're opposites, that together we strengthen each other, right? And you're very right in the sense that it's the femininity of men, the masculinity of women. It's so prevalent today, and is that part of the reason there's a lot of confusion as well in most of, I mean, on both sides of the genders, right? Is where do we stand? What's our right? What makes us happy? You know?
So taking it back, so the
Yeah.
masculine and feminine principles impact how one operates as well. So women have had to fight in a man's world,
Yes.
which has made them use more of their masculine principle. Okay. Men have had to do the fighting for a long time.
Yeah.
Then we take it to our systems, political, religious, economical, social, gender, racial, take it, all our systems are completely based on the masculine principle.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's an imbalance,
Hmm.
a complete imbalance. So what do we need to do? We need to start bringing in more of the feminine principle.
Okay.
And as we start to use more of our inherent feminine principle, we start to bring a little bit of balance inside and around us. And if you take it to relationships, there will be, the possibility of more relatability rather than competition. It's very competitive. You bring in social media, it gets even more competitive, more competitive. And then I think also there's like chicks want to be on top now. And I'm not talking about in private spaces, but chicks want to be on top because chicks have been pushed down for too long.
And I completely get that. You see, when it comes to equality in pay, 100%. Equality in opportunity, 100%. But also, there's the aspect of trying to replace specific roles with one gender or the other, right? Where, for example, I know for a fact that if I was in danger right now, I would obviously want the most masculine man to come and be there and present, right? And what they're saying, no, that's wrong. We need to have equal opportunity in this field as well. So that's where I feel then a lot of people get lost in that, especially within our culture here, which is a very patriarchal, masculine society. When we go out into the world and we're sort of met with, well, this is not the way things work over here. There's also a bit of confusion in identity. Do we have to change the way we've been brought up? Which again, we have very traditional norms, very traditional values from a Kenyan culture, and then against what's going out in the West, which is a completely different field. But I think what needs to change over here is definitely equality in opportunity and earning power for women. I think giving them a fair place in the world to step up, earn their bread. Yes, because we live in societies that you can't. Some households can't be a single earner, right? You need multiple. You need to have that openness for them to walk. And I'm for that. I'm all for that. Yeah.
Equality for sure.
Yeah.
Equal opportunities for sure. It's going to take time. It started
100%,
already.
yes.
It's going to take time. However, this is part of the reason why relationships are falling apart as well. It impacts relationships because I've had women calling me and saying, I'm at this stage in my life, at this phase in my life, and so I said, so what is it that you would like? What are you looking for? And says, hey, I want to build my career. I said, and what about, would you like to have a family? No. Do you want to have children? No. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, we've got quite an extensive, exploded population, and everyone's got the right to decide.
Yeah.
However, you talk about that confusion. Yes, there's deep confusion, as we don't know how to figure out what our life is worth, what it means, and how we want to put meaning into it. So people are scrambling because they're looking at everything that they can measure. Let me measure. I have this much money. I have this much. When it comes to, I can measure tick, 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 tick. Then done something about myself.
Correct.
That's not life. And not, women do have the right to say, the few that actually decide, they go through it, they think about it, and they say, okay, I want to grow in this area, I want to grow in that. Just like men have the right to do the same thing.
Correct.
But what's happened is I think people are living in little silos. I mean, bubbles. I said I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
I openly say I live in a bubble. And why do I live in a bubble? There's just too much out there. I'm very tech friendly. I'm very hip. I'm very current. However, there are times where it's like, do I need that information?
Yeah.
I'm just going to put pause on all of this.
Yeah.
Is that answering all your questions?
It
Is that
does in a way. In fact, the follow up I had was when you look at your sort of client base, is it a myriad of clients? Like, sorry, I'm not sure if clients is the right term. Is it
Mhm.
patients?
It's fine.
Like, who are they? Are they corporate people? Are they housewives? Are they lost men? Like, what's sort of the caliber of people you deal with?
So it's not just lost men; it's lost women as well.
Lost women,
Right,
yes.
okay, so we're at a point where there's a lot of people not feeling completely
Hmm.
okay with life.
Hmm.
Okay, so the range of my clients is all ages. My youngest client's been 7,
Really?
oldest 73,
Okay.
and I really salute someone if they want to do therapy at
73, yeah,
73. Can
because
you imagine?
you've been living a certain way for 70 plus years.
Yes.
So to change your thinking, I'm assuming that takes time as well, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's a decision.
Hmm.
Once a person makes a decision that I don't want to live like this anymore, then I don't do more than 12, 14, 15 sessions. I don't keep clients with me for a long time. You come in, you sign up, you fill in all the stuff. We schedule. You do 4 hours a week, 2 hours, 2 hour sessions twice a week. And the turnaround is, 6, 7, 8 weeks at the most. And cheerio, because the person is ready. And then I make my clients work, because I hold them accountable.
So when you say work, what do you mean? Do you have
They have to put in the work. I'm not doing the work. I'm not the one who's going to change them. They have to change themselves. That's why they've brought themselves. They don't know how. So I help them with the how and the what. But then, so when we go in and we do the internal work and the understanding of what life is about,
right?
then they have to change their external habits, their behavior, their attitude. All of that is
Takes work.
their responsibility. I will help and do the internal work with you.
Okay.
Okay.
But the impetus now is on, for example, if I were to come to you, I would have to do the work. If
Mm-hmm.
there's some elements that I feel I need fixing on, you
Mm.
you would then tell me, no, fixing is the wrong word. Uh, some elements I need help
Mm-hmm.
working on, you would then say, okay, these are A, B, C, D parameters you need to do every day, weekly, just to get you to slowly change.
And there are ways that I help and give you input that'll start shifting that anyway. There are
Okay.
tools and there's understanding. The most important thing is you understand at the deepest level of your subconscious mind,
Hmm.
and then at the conscious mind level,
Hmm.
and then things start to. I have people physically change. People physically change. So I take pictures of people. Session 1 and session 12 or 14. People physically change. So I've had people come in and they've had issues with their digestion and their digestive system. And by the time we're done, the digestive system's working. Even though, why? What we have to understand that our mind, our emotions, our body, they're all connected.
Interconnected, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're holding on to, there's no other way of saying it, but if you're holding on to crap, of course your digestive system is going to.
Maybe all this fat that's accumulated is all the crap I'm holding on to mentally as well.
It could be
It could be,
possible.
yeah,
It
it's
could be
true.
possible.
I think maybe it is. To be honest, maybe speaking on my behalf, because I don't smoke, I don't drink, so my escape has always been when I'm having a tough time, is to be honestly, it was either women or food
Mm.
as an escape. And working out did it for me. But then once I got injured and then getting back to it, it was always women and food. It's just, and it's a vicious cycle just to go into it. And to try and get out of it, then maybe, because he's even been asking me, why haven't you been going to the gym? Why? And I can give him an excuse, right?
Right.
And it's the escape. It's the Biscoff pudding, cheesecake. It's the pizzas on Tuesday. Jumia is the worst. Jumia is the one we need to shut down, by the way. Jumia and Uber Eats, because that's the biggest problem. It's now everything comes to you, right?
Even easier, right?
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's okay. In fact, it's a very valid point.
Yeah.
So, what has happened is because your core issue is around whatever it is, what you do is you feed it with food and sex.
And suppress it. Yeah.
You don't even suppress it, you're feeding the symptoms. But your core issue is not resolved. So, the core issue is there's something about yourself that you're sabotaging. You're basically self-sabotaging by all of this stuff. And you're sabotaging because somewhere in your past, in your childhood, there's a feeling of unworthiness, of not being enough. And this is such a, it's, I used to think it must be sporadic, but it's not. It's a very common theme because we come from backgrounds of betrayal and abandonment. And that unworthiness, I mean, my kids say it to me. My kids are grown up women now. But it's like, why would you feel unworthy when, you know, I was a different type of mom, maybe not the easiest because it's so controversial and so unconventional. Even that has its issues. So we swing from whatever we went through, we don't want our children to go through. So either we repeat what we went through or we swing the opposite way.
Yeah.
Either way, we're just messing up. We're constantly messing up as human beings. But that's the whole point of being human. And in these Kalyug times, it's like, okay, you're going to mess up. The less you can mess up if you're conscious. Most people are not conscious
of what they're doing, what
yes,
those traits that they have. Yeah.
People are not being aware.
Okay, so does that tie into the regressional part of it, where there's something else that you focus on, regressional therapy? Is that where now you force them to sort of come out of those traits, or how does that work? What's the relationship between?
Can we use this?
Yes, perfect. In
just
fact,
to understand, and where do I need to put it? Does this work?
No. So, in fact, Kim will put it up over here on the screen.
Okay, so what happens is a lot of us think that we don't really understand the mind. So there's a guy called John Kappas who put this in a circle, which is easy to explain and to understand. So this mind that we're actually using right now is 10 to 12% of our mind.
Really?
This mind, yes.
Okay.
That way, okay? And it has the capacity of 1.5 to 2 hours.
So, which is basically your thinking, your logic, where you analyze, you decide, and to implement. That's within that conscious mind.
It's within the conscious mind, and 1.5 hours. You can push it sometimes 2 hours, and it's the rest of our mind, which is 88 to 90% of our mind, is where we store all our programs, like a CPU.
Okay. The subconscious mind.
Yes, the subconscious mind. Now, in the subconscious mind, we also have another area, which is the primitive mind. And primitive mind, so this is modern memory, which is current life memory. This one is past lives. So I only go there when I am not going to upset anybody's belief system or whatever.
Yeah.
But generally, this is the part of the mind that carries unresolved stuff from previous lives, which then show up here anyway.
Fight or flight responses. So is
So here we have the fight, flight, freeze. In our current memory, life, this current life, these two filters, there's a conscious mind filter, critical mind of conscious mind, and critical filter for the subconscious mind. These two filters actually don't exist in a baby. They start forming, and by the time we're 8 years old, they start forming from 2 to 8 years. By the time we're 8 years old, those filters have formed. So before 8 years, the child
wow, that
hears
young. Okay.
things raw.
So it forms from that young of an
Yes.
age.
So by 8 years, a child has already formed their core beliefs about themselves and the world.
Okay.
So I'm not enough. I'm unworthy. An example, child's breastfeeding, or you're feeding the child, and then the child's putting food out or
Yeah.
whatever they're doing, and they don't want to eat and making a fuss, and oh, you're getting on my nerves. Please eat your food now. It's been 1 hour. What is the child hearing? My mother doesn't love me.
Hmm.
It's so raw. It's not even
Ah.
conscious. That's where our core beliefs are formed. So by 8 years, the child has already formed their core beliefs, and they've also decided whether they're going to be a person that fights for their lives or fights for themselves, or that they're going to run. Now, this is since caveman days, huh? Fight and flight has been there since
Yeah, it's been
then.
forever.
And now we have the new one, which is freeze. And what is freeze? Freeze is the myriads of these mental health imbalances that are happening, from anxiety to depression to, I don't go into the chemical
Yeah.
imbalances like, bipolar and schizophrenia, multiple personality disorders, because these are chemical imbalances. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Outside of this, there's so many other names and descriptions of mental health imbalances. And I
Okay.
think we really need to start calling them emotional health, right?
Right.
And so what happens then is, if we've already made a decision, so when the client comes, we put this to rest, the conscious mind. And then we go into the subconscious mind. And now, here at age 6, was a situation with a teacher or a parent where, you know, the unworthiness showed up.
Right.
So we heal that. So already healing that impacts the behavior and habits and all of that to a certain degree. But then consciously, people have to then break those old habits related to the core issue.
Which is hard as well. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It doesn't have to be. It's very simple if you make a decision. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's like you making a choice that I'm going to wake up today and I don't want to be like I've been for the last 5 years, because it's making me feel like crap.
Hmm.
Okay, so I need to do something about it and I'm ready. So you need to put the work in. And to finish answering your question, so from 7 to 73 are the clients, and they come from all walks of life, from housewives, students, corporates, MDs and CEOs, and I have clients coming from all over the world as well. When they come, I do therapy for whole days, like 4 to 5 whole days,
Really.
10 to 5.
So quite intense, huh?
And then I have people locally, who are running organizations and they can't do the 4 hours a week. Then we do the intense 1 day a week for 4 or 5 weeks, depends how much baggage they have. So that's the reason why history taking is so important. And, I'm not sure that everybody understands that guesswork is not worthy, or working on the symptoms is not going to work. Okay. Because if the client knew what was wrong with them they would be able to help themselves. But they're coming to you with a set of symptoms. You have to dig to go inside and to pull out where it originated from. Because until you heal the origin, people feel paralyzed
Okay.
or feel stuck.
Okay. And so, if this part here, especially
Mm.
past life records, how do you sort of delve into this? Because again, this is also now, let's say we believe there's past lives. What do you do to? Or my question is, what do you find out from that? Is there something in the past life that affects who you are in this life?
Always.
In what sense? Is it the same as the Hindu tantric beliefs that, well, if you did something shitty in the past life,
Mm.
you'll suffer in this life versus, oh,
I don't think it's so cut and dry.
yeah,
So, past lives, each life has been lived the way it's been lived. You've been a certain person.
yeah,
You're not the same person in this life. You could have been a woman, you could have been black, you could have been white, you could have, in each lifetime we carry a different,
completely different person, spirit,
yeah,
yeah,
literally, and different gender, different racial connotation, all of that stuff, okay? So everything that's accumulated life after life after life, and through each life, what's happening is we keep, for example, siblings, parents, partners, children, family. We've been recycling roles. So one time you're a son, one time you're the father, one time you're the grandmother, one time you're the daughter. Okay, so we keep recycling the roles and we keep coming back because we have to play out this drama on this stage, right? At some point, the repetition of that drama is enough and you need to close that. And so this life offers you the opportunity to close those ongoing
loops.
karmic entanglements.
Okay,
Okay? So, whatever karmic entanglements you've come with over lifetimes is also showing up in this lifetime. So, I don't do the past life regression unless we've cleared
yeah,
this
this,
life.
okay,
Because a lot of
so
people,
steps to it.
yes, a lot of people are curious to know, oh, I want to know how I'm connected to this person and which lifetime were we together. And it's like, it's all,
There's steps to it. You
yes.
can't get to the top of Everest day one.
And so for me, the reason why reincarnation makes sense is because nothing else does. Reincarnation makes sense because if you look at deja vu,
By the way, yes. Hmm.
why would you have deja vu with a complete stranger or with a place you go to and you feel like your heart's tugging at you, like this place, or you look at a person, it's like you
Seen you.
don't want to know them,
Yeah, yeah,
or
you
you're pulled
pull
towards
towards
them,
them.
right? Why? These are the threads of tapestry that are constantly at play, because ultimately, and it's taken me my whole lifetime to get here, is that we are connected. We are like threads of a tapestry. And and this is the consciousness suit that I'm wearing this time. Is there a difference between you and me? We think there is, yes, at the physical level. But if we move in, because we're still so much into 3D, we haven't moved into 5D. When we move into 5D, it'll be another ball game, right? So in this 3D, we're still very individuated.
Yeah.
And the me concept, this is what is causing the me concept, is concept me, I and me, is causing all this separation and isolation and confusion.
Yeah.
But because this is the time also where we're starting to ascend through into 4D and 5D.
Okay. With this 4D and 5D, there's this You know, the ayahuasca ceremony,
Mm.
does that help you get there? Does that sort of show you the different planes or the different entities that are interconnected, how we're connected to much larger things than us? Is that something similar? I'm not sure if you have any experience with that, though.
I haven't done ayahuasca,
Yeah, yeah,
but I know enough about it. I know people who've done it.
yeah.
So it's such a personal experience
Right.
that everybody experiences different stuff. And it's plant medicine. Okay. Just like I hear there's a lot of other stuff that also takes people into those dimensions. Okay. So it's more about oneself again. Ayahuasca is about the plant medicine helps you to go to places in your subconscious mind where you have not come to terms with something. And I hear it's a profound experience
Yes.
and it's different and it freaks people out sometimes. And so I'm careful not to do generic
Yeah.
because generic doesn't work. Everything is so personal, right? So each personal has a personal experience and it's so vast and so varied that, it's like night and day.
Correct. Okay.
So what it does, it helps you to go inwards, which is where people need to start going. People need to start going in, not out. Because if you keep going out, you're going to lose yourself. There's so much out there. It'll never be enough. And it's too much. And it's getting more and more with social media. I mean, there's pluses of social media and technology, and there's lots of minuses as well, like with everything. And so choosing, where your center is and how you want to work through this life and this lifetime is a personal choice. And the personal choice, as you balance yourself, that ripple effect goes and travels to your sphere.
I must say, you know your shit.
I know my shit, man.
So, which
No.
leads me to my next question. How do people, because there are a bunch of therapists out there, and I dealt with one who, if you'll allow me to swear, was a dipshit. Basically, I just sat there and I was like, this is not for me. How does one go about spotting a good therapist or a bad therapist? What are key indicators for people to look out? Like, just from your experience, because you're in this space, what do I need to look out for just to make sure I don't get my mind twisted?
So I've said this before in other interviews as well. And I said, first, any relationship a human being gets into, huh? You don't just go and pick a person and decide you're going to marry them, even though it happens with arranged marriages. But there's been a lot of background checks and all of that
Correct.
stuff, okay?
Correct.
But if you're stupid enough to go and meet someone and marry them within 2 months, then that's your
That's your
shit,
problem. Yeah, yeah.
really. So this is the same thing. Your therapist is going to literally know the color of your poo. Okay, it gets so personal, right? That you've got to interview that person. Just like you would, there's 3 girls and you're kind of getting horny for all 3 of them. I'm talking from your point of view. Okay. All right. How are you going to decide which one's going to work for you? Maybe you just pick all 3. I don't know. Different days of the week, possibly. I don't know, but I'm not going there right now. Okay. So
So we go into that level, eh?
you've
Yeah.
got to interview your therapist. You've got to ask them what work they've done on themselves. You've got to ask them why they're doing this work. You've got to ask them what is it that they want to achieve with each of their clients and why. And why are they in this field? Because it's become, just like healthcare. Healthcare came, a person wanted to be a doctor because they wanted to save lives. Hasn't that changed? Human rights was like passion, and we want to change how the world is working. And the human has died in the human rights.
Correct.
Okay. So the same thing, therapy is, as much as there's taboo now, people are opening up. What work have you done on yourself? Why do you do the work? What kind of therapies are going to use and modalities and methodologies, and why should I see you instead of someone else?
Right.
And what is it about you? So those are questions a therapist ought to be able to answer. And it's got to come from a place of integrity.
Hmm.
Not because I got a piece of paper after doing a 6-week online course on
Right.
life coaching or blah blah.
Yes.
That is just ridiculous.
I guess because even people tend to pass on their emotional baggage consciously or subconsciously. For example, if you go to a therapist who's just been recently divorced and you're going through a heartbreak, maybe they infuse your way based on their experiences, right? And it's true. You have to do a lot of background check. That's actually a very good point. But would you recommend it for most people, therapy, just to try it? Is it something that you would openly encourage, or is it very for select people?
I would not only encourage it,
Hmm.
I would say that every single being needs therapy because we're carrying
Generational.
generations of baggage,
Okay.
right? And if you don't want to pass it to the next generation,
Yeah.
we all need therapy. And there are so many therapists with different modalities.
Mm.
It just depends how deep a person wants to go.
Right.
So sometimes people are ready to go a certain level
Yeah.
and then they want to go a certain depth and then more. So what I would suggest is don't do half a job. Dive in, clear your baggage, do your thing, because each human being that does their work impacts a whole range. So do not be afraid of therapy. If you jive with a therapist, go for it, interview them, okay? And do your own work. It's so important. I mean, if you go to Europe and North America, I'm just a bit cautious, There's too much going on there at the moment. But if you go to Europe
Mm.
and North America, as it is, therapy has not been taboo. People have been going for
It's
therapy.
been there for quite a while. Yes.
And in fact, corporations have incorporated
Yes. Yes. Very.
therapy as well. Insurance companies have incorporated therapy as well. The only issue is that, we need to open up to alternative therapies.
Hmm.
Um, like the work I do is not simple work. It's very deep. It's very concretized in the
Hmm.
in the way that I want to push through the layers. And so I can only see so many clients a week. I haven't got the capacity.
Yeah.
To do a good job, I also measure my own capacity. I'm not just taking clients because I want to make money. No. I actually say to people, please, I'm booked. I can only see 3 clients this month or 4 clients this month. And that means that batch is 2 months. And then 2 months. And like now I'm booking September, October.
Really.
Yeah. And then I refer clients to other people that I know can handle them
Yeah.
because I take time to speak to people. And then where I can't help, then I refer them.
I appreciate that honesty where it's not just a cash thing, just loading it up, because a lot of people do that. They commercialize it, right?
Yeah.
On your background, how did you get into it? Obviously, I know, but we've got a brand new audience here. But how did your journey come to this?
So my journey has been pretty screwed up because if it wasn't screwed up, I wouldn't be able to do this work. And so I came from a very tough background. From the time I was a kid, my mother left when I was 3. I was an only kid, and then I had lots of very, very unconventional experiences, and I had, living all over the place and stuff like that. And then I got into a marriage that also taught me, oh my goodness, lessons from my yin yang. And then I had to, but I made choices. I take responsibility because I made the choice.
Right.
I picked the person. I had to decide to unpick the person. I had, my what I thought I was doing was to kind of get my kids out of those situations, but they were already affected. And I've said to them over the years that they need to find their own therapist because a mother can't be a therapist. You know, as much as I have tried it, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so within me inherently was this way of speaking. That's why I held, the positions I held, even work wise, was a lot to do with speaking, communication,
Yes.
leadership positions, etc.
You were in. I saw you were in tech for a bit as well, right?
Yeah, so I was in tourism. I was in tourism for nearly 20 years. And then I was doing online.
At the Hilton, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Hilton was one of them. So I worked at the Hilton. I was in that building for 18 years.
Wow.
I worked in for an inbound tour operator, then I worked for another inbound tour operator, and then 17 years, and then I worked for the Hiltons itself as director of sales and marketing. And before that, I was general manager for Wildlife Safari.
Amazing.
And then I decided I needed a sabbatical. I was burnt out, and I'd gone through divorce, a very, very trying divorce. Changed my life, all of that. And then I had this thing, you know, initially it would have been a savior complex, missionary complex. And then I realized I'm not here to save anybody. First of all, I need to literally save myself.
Yes.
Right. And then when I went to Canada and I worked in Canada for another 9 years. And when I came back, I said, okay, it's time to do this now. And I didn't even know what this was. And so I started through my own experiences of leadership, being with people, um, my personal experiences, such a diverse way of life showing up. And then I started this work. So I started with talk therapy, and then I'd done some of this stuff in Canada as well before I left. And then hypnotherapy came knocking. So I knew this lady, Aruna. She used to be my hairdresser. And she came back the same year I came back from Dubai, and I came back from Canada, and we met up and she was doing stuff. And then next thing I know, she's bringing this teacher from India who's doing hypnotherapy. And she says, I don't care what you say, you're attending this.
Really.
And now I wanted to do hypnotherapy and NLP 30 years prior. I didn't have the money. And this thing coming to my doorstep, literally.
Yeah, that's
and
like a sign.
through somebody, yes.
Yes.
So I did level 1, and the rest is history. So we did hypnotherapy 5 levels. I think it was the whole year. And then we did regression therapy for 1.5 years, which is like a post-grad. And that journey, oh my God, 2.5 years of having to do your own work added to what I'd already done. It was powerful. It was impactful. It was how one learnt hands-on for
Right.
2.5 years. And then when the first time I put it online on Facebook, and I said, have just certified, and people started calling. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And
This was when you were back in Canada?
No, this is here in
Okay.
2017,
Oh, wow.
2016, 2017.
Okay.
And the rest is history. And then COVID.
Yes. Which is, I think, when we spoke, right?
Mm-hmm. No, it would have been a little bit after, just 2023.
I need to pinpoint who exactly connected me to you, but it was in the sense that you need to go and speak to her. I think you need therapy. You're an asshole. In a way, it was sort of helping. But it's so, I can tell it's come full circle. You're very passionate about what you do.
Yes.
The way you speak about it. The energy, first of all, there's something going on here. I'm not sure what feng shui is happening, but the energy in this place is very positive. Is that by design? I'm feeling, because the way I was feeling mentally, I was like, I've got this at work, I've got this. I've not thought about any of that when I came in here. I'm not sure if that's something to do with it, or maybe this conversation has just been very entertaining.
So, and why have you crossed your arms again?
Oh, sorry.
And you know what that
Yeah.
is? It's like, have I asked an okay question?
Hmm.
Now, part of the reason is this is what I do with my clients,
Right.
is being so engaged and present and so aware that if anything's going on, my eyes
pick
are on
those.
you,
You pick
but
those
I
up.
can see, your shoulder does
Yes.
this,
Yes.
or you kind of get shifty.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what happens in therapy.
You pick those subtle traits up.
Yes. So the energy here, I meditate 3 hours a day, man. This is, like I said, not a negotiable.
And how are you meditating? Are you going through, like, is it just, is it the yoga type meditation? What's involved in that?
So we, again, with all the apps,
Yeah. Yeah, subscription, $10 a month to meditate.
what I have been practicing for 3 decades, over 3 decades, is an age-old, tried and tested method called the transcendental meditation.
Okay.
Okay, I learned it here in Nairobi when meditation was not even a discussion.
Oh.
Don't even talk about it because you're doing whoa stuff.
Yes.
So that's when I started. I think I was, 32 when I started.
Whoa, so that's basically that you're talking about early 2000s, late, that's when you I think
Darling, I'm going to be 65 in July.
you look very young.
Oh, thank you.
So maybe we'll
I'll
go
buy half of that.
we'll go into the moisturizing routine after. Okay, so that's when the
90s.
90s. Yeah, that 90s there was nothing here. Yoga must have been like a very foreign concept, and meditation and everything was.
It was actually regarded as something.
Yeah, who was doing it here at that time?
So interestingly enough, the guys who were running the center, Solomon Mwangi, can you imagine? Our Kenyans, man. Solomon Mwangi and his wife Judy were running the center. My teacher had come and was here temporarily from Zambia, Harry. I
Okay.
even remember his name. And we've been in touch because I haven't seen him since. There was Karanja, there was Harrison, I think. And the center is still here, but enough, interestingly enough, I knew their son, Judy and Solomon's son, when he was 4. He's now a teacher and he's 37. And all my clients go and learn meditation.
Yeah.
All my clients must learn meditation. It's a requirement because they don't know how to not be busy. They don't know how to calm down. So they go and learn. I have an Ayurvedic doctor I work with, Dr. Dinesh Versani. I have a functional practitioner that I work with, Maria Rosa. I now am going to speak to a nutritionist. I have a chiropractor, Thomas Kaufman, that I work with. So I have a network of people because
yes.
it's holistic. It's holistic that people come to me if they've got financial constraints and they're worried about finances, they'll have backaches. If someone's having digestion issues because their fire is too high or too low,
Then you sort of work.
then the Ayurvedic doctor can help. Okay, so I don't pretend to be the God of it all. No. We have so many components within our bodysuit that need balancing with different aspects. It's not just one. The therapy is the core emotional, mental clearing and physical sometimes. However, the other balancing out as well.
So basically, it's like you work on one aspect, but you also make sure to take care of the other parameters, because without the other, then it's what? And you do most of it from home?
I work from home. I work from home because one is the confidentiality.
Yeah.
I can't. I
can imagine the caliber of clients you have as well. You have to keep it, very confidential.
Under the lid.
There's something that caught my attention. Sorry, when you came in, there was a bunch of rocks over there.
Yes.
With like words on it. Is that where you give your?
So at the end of the sessions, I have 30 or 31 words, and before they finish their last, as they finish their last session, you guys can pick some as well. Do you want to pick some now?
Like, what's the meaning?
So there's 30 or 31 words.
Okay.
And the stone you pick with whatever word will give you an indication of what area you need to look at within yourself.
So
Do
is
you want
it?
to do it right now?
Yeah,
Yeah?
we can pick.
Kim, do you want to bring us the basket, please?
It's the yellow basket, oh?
Yes, this
So
orange
do
one.
you pick it
Yeah,
up blindly?
colorblind. You see colorblind, huh?
Was that orange?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Do you pick up just blindly?
Yeah, just close your eyes and pick.
Okay.
So
Kim,
close your eyes and pick. Kim, why don't you start?
Close your eyes and pick one.
No, you don't have to push your head back. What do you pick? Turn it, turn it, turn it. Turn it around. That's my name. Then
Humor.
Humor.
You don't laugh enough.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Humor.
No, I'm not that. I've never.
He laughs. I think he's just going through a lot at the moment.
So you need more humor in your life. So you're getting too serious, too caught up with life's nonsense. So find places to kind of lighten up.
Meskia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So just anything, yeah.
Yeah, just pick one, two. Well,
Transparency. With the girls I date, or
what does that mean? That means, Vish, do you want to come?
I like this. This is nice.
Same here.
Transparency.
No, throw it back in. Let's try again.
Transformation.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So keep it. You can keep these. So transparency is you really are not who you pretend to be. Sorry.
Can I take another one?
You can pick another one. So what that means is you're constantly masking.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
You're constantly masking to suit the person in front of you.
I work in sales.
Tough job, man. Been there, done that.
Yeah, so sales, I mean,
People pleasing.
100% ass kissing. But my ass kissing, I'd say, is very
Subtle, is it?
subtle. It's done very.
It's
not
still masked.
It's not the car salesman, but the truth is, I could be looking at a client and I'll be like, oh, this dipshit again, and then you have to put in a persona and you have to sort of act through those emotions. You have to put on a show.
But do you
is a
like
show.
it?
I've fallen out of love with it. I've been doing it for close to 10 years, and when you said burnt out and sabbatical, those are the notions I'm battling with at work right now. But I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy meeting people. The podcast is an extension of my sales job because it's about learning about the person opposite you. And I think every person that you meet somehow impacts the DNA of who you are, because what I've learned today is something I would have never known if it wasn't for the podcast. And maybe it changes the trajectory of my life. And that's how I sort of look at these interactions.
Yeah, enjoying talking to people and interacting doesn't mean you have to stay in sales. Maybe it's time for change.
That's true.
So what it's saying to you is you're not being your authentic self. And to be your authentic self, so
Let's focus on Vishnu.
So authenticity is so important because that is what is missing in our world. People are not authentic. People are so masked and operating on the basis that they have to be what they expected to be. I have had the toughest time trying to be that all my life. I tried at some point, while I was married and whatever, to fit into that box. And
of what society expects you to be, right? Of what everyone says you should do this by this age, you should expect this, you should have that. And they're putting you into this shell. And so sometimes you just have to break
out. And so the thing is, there are people who really like me and there are people who can't stand me because I'm so upfront. I had a conversation about that this morning with someone. Tazim, not everybody can digest because you're so upfront. And I said, I'm not going to change for anybody. It's taken me half my life to get here. And so I'm not going to change to comply. Right? So you can find your meaning in another way. I used to be like that. I used to be in sales and marketing and all of that. And then I head up to here because I couldn't do the inauthenticity.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go to Vish. Vish transformation.
Transformation.
Transformation means that you are probably in the midst of huge changes and you have a choice. So
Which way?
it's never one path, right? We get so engrossed in, oh, I'm doing this because this is the outcome I want, but the outcome is never in our hands, really. And we get attached to the outcome and we miss everything. So rather than get attached to the outcome, throw the outcome aside and allow whatever other parallel realities show up to take you where life will take you.
XRP better go to. It's a Bitcoin joke we have. Transformation.
Is this what's going on?
I have no.
Can I be, just maybe to keep it very shallow? I think Vish has a lot of pain in him.
Mm,
He masks it.
mm,
He's incredibly talented, incredibly loyal. He has a lot of frustrations he doesn't tell us about. I can see them. He also has a lot of ambitions that he needs to do certain things by certain dates.
mm.
And I think it's balancing all that as well.
But he's also not very open.
No, Vish is closed. That's why he's not he's not hosting the podcast. Yeah.
So this is why the only reason I asked him to pick another stone is because even transparency would have worked for him very well. Because you guys wouldn't be together if there weren't similarities either.
I'll come with him maybe for a proper session. But I take him like a younger brother now. We've been together, what, 3 years?
Yeah.
He so the way our journey started together was in 2023. I had actually gone to Paris and I had a bit of a psychedelic trip where I was with John Mayer on stage and doing a podcast, and I was like, okay, I need to start a YouTube channel and go down this way. But also, I've done acting and theater growing up, and I always wanted to do something in media, in film. That's always piqued my curiosity. It was just so hard to get it along. Then he came and he said, look, I know your brother, I know what you guys are capable of, and he basically said, for free, I'll do this for you guys. Like no, everyone else was charging so stupendous, and we've built a relationship ever since. I take him like a younger brother. Kim came into the fold recently, and we're trying to build something over here, and they're very supportive of the vision. But they've all got the thing is, they've all got their own journeys. They've all got their own challenges. So I think one thing this is telling me is that if I can improve myself, I can improve them as well and help them maybe steer that path.
So it's not about improving. It's not about getting better. You know what therapy is? Real good therapy. And why it works if it's effective and done properly. It's about becoming more of yourself. Because at the moment, you're a collective of layers of conditioning and socialization that has buried who you are. So as we delayer, it's coming back to who you are and so coming home. That's why it's a self-discovery journey, not to make you better, to make you you. Because you are not you. You are what you think everybody's expecting you to be. Yeah.
That was really deep. Good way to segue into closure. Tazim, that was. Maybe let me look at the questions for a
Yes,
bit.
Did I derail you, man?
No, it's the thing is, it's again, you being direct again is what maybe someone needs. Not sugarcoating it, because as friends, if something happens, you try and tell them in a soft way and sugarcoat it to try and steer them. But sometimes you need that. You need someone telling you, cut the bullshit, man.
Sugarcoating is lacking integrity. So when people call me and there's a certain way they'd ask me questions, and I'd say to them, you know what, I don't feel we're going to be a good match. You're looking for soft therapy. I'm not a soft therapist. And soft therapy doesn't work. However, it doesn't work for me. Okay. For you, it may work. However, this won't match. So I'm okay with saying no to people. if there isn't if I don't feel it, because sometimes people come to see me and I fire clients, by the way.
Really?
I fire clients. So I have a whole system. I have a whole system of filling up questionnaires and doing forms and all of that. So I've got them clearly to say they're taking responsibility. And then if they're coming because they want to impress a spouse or a parent or a kid,
Ah,
apana,
that's
I don't
something.
want.
Yeah.
I don't want. So then I just refund them and say goodbye, have a good life, find someone who's going to buy into your story, because I'm not buying into it.
I think this is for you, transparency.
No, I'm already that. I'm already transparent. And so, I don't, before I used to sit and think, oh, that person doesn't like me, or that person said this, or this, that person is feeling. Now it's like, that person doesn't like me.
So what?
It's not my,
I
it's
can't
not
control
my
it.
business.
Yeah.
And you can't get all of the people to like you all of the time anyway, right?
Tazim, that was definitely a journey. Humor, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate you being very open with us, welcoming us into your house. It's something that I would personally now look into, because I was always on the surface. It's hypnotherapy, it's pseudoscience, it's this, it's that. But it seems that there's genuine thought that goes into what you're doing. And you as a person, you have a very positive energy that has come about you. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. What we'll do is maybe if someone wants to find you, if they want to get in touch, we'll link all your descriptions in everything in the description. But where can someone reach out to you?
Go to my website, all my contacts are there, tazim.net.
Perfect.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Know that, I get booked ahead of time. Um, I don't sugarcoat. I don't exaggerate. I don't try to please anybody.
Yeah.
So if you're coming and you want your journey to change, to be more of yourself, and to heal past wounds and go back to the core issues and heal all of that stuff, then contact me. Don't come if you want to fix it. I will be able to help you.
And with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, we'll link Tazim's detail in the description. The playlist as well will be there. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next episode.
And thank you very much as well.
That's what's up. Awesome. Bye.